the building. What y'all up to, man? We are here back in the building. The griot,
Pretty
pretty
girl
girl
Bill.
villain.
We're
Already
here.
back, ready to go with another live stream for y'all. Challenging deceptive narratives, taking yourself and your partner's feelings seriously. We're gonna open up by kind of letting y'all know how this beautiful weekend went.
It was beautiful.
Allison, pretty girl villain, tell these people how your weekend went.
Well, as we have talked about before, we always come up with these little personas as we navigate this relationship or partnership. So this past weekend was anniversary alley. We just had a damn good time. We Friday night started off. Amin after work, he went and had a celebration with his family, and I stayed home and I just wanted to clean up a bit just because I knew we were going to be out and about all weekend, and so I wanted to make sure when we came back home, when we landed, that the house was clean and everything was straight. So after he came home from spending time with his family, we just turned on some music and just made some good drinks and started our anniversary weekend.
It was the bomb. I mean, I started out the day. My cousin, shout out to my cousin, man. Shout out to my cousin Zachary Torres. Shout out to my cousin. He's doing his thing. 16th birthday. Uh, Great upcoming athlete, basketball player. Went over there. My cousin, his mom threw a nice little get together party. Really good to see the family there. It was really good vibes. We watched some basketball. It was good food as usual. Caught up with some of my family members there. Shout out to my cousin Cameron. Shout out to Cameron. Shout out to Ashanti. Shout out to Anthony, uh, Drew, everybody. Shout out to y'all, man. It was great. Shout out to Josh, and we just had a good time. And then we had it all planned out. We knew we're planners,
We are planners.
and
It's going to be a plan. So if you guys know us, if you want to spend time with us, you got to plan it out in advance because our calendar is booked. Our calendar is booked up until Memorial Day weekend, as a matter of fact. And the conversations that we are going to have with you pretty much is booked up until Memorial Day weekend. We have outlined every topic as we talk to each other throughout the week, as we spend time with our family and our friends. We reflect on the things that we learn, and a topic comes up, and we write it down on the calendar. So, you know, and please, if you want to know something or if you have something in mind, please do not hesitate to make a comment. Your comments are welcome. We welcome you to have a say so in our platform. So then we moved on to Saturday, part two of our celebration. It was phenomenal. The weather was nice in Sacramento. We couldn't have asked for a better day. And to be honest, we don't technically know the exact day of our anniversary. I just know I moved in this bad boy the beginning of April. And so, like I said, we're planners. And I looked at the calendar and I was like, well, the second week of April is free. So let's do something to celebrate that we're here and we're together. And it was a beautiful day. So we started off part one going to our favorite restaurant buffet. And if you're on Facebook, you could go back and take a look. No, is it on? I think it's on my
yeah,
Facebook. I
it's
think
on
I
there. Yeah,
shared.
yeah,
I
yeah,
shared
yeah.
either you could go on my page or you can go on Almond's page and you can take a look at my plate, his plate. We only did one serving. We didn't go back for seconds.
That's it. I had two plates, and that was it. I
That
had my
was
two
it.
plates. I got my little fresh,
Hot
the
and sour
stir
soup
fry, the
and the stir
soup,
fry.
and then the plate of different stuff, and that was it. And that's the you don't want to start eating for taste. Once you start eating for taste and you get that
Feeling.
satiated feeling,
Mm-hmm.
that's it. Let it go.
No
Let
matter
it go.
how much you spend at the buffet, you don't have to hurt yourself.
You don't. Just get a sample of a little bit of
Every,
everything. It's really about tasting everything and getting full at the same time. But
yeah, getting something that you wouldn't that you can't cook at home, that you don't know how to cook at
yeah,
home.
yeah.
And just go from there. Y'all know I'm a chickenist, so I have to taste every chicken that they have. I'm allergic to shellfish, so unfortunately I can't go through the seafood there. A lot of people do go to those buffets. It's an Asian food buffet, just for all the sushi and the seafood offerings. But I'm good with chicken.
And it was just really nice. And then we had a nice dinner, lunch.
That
Well,
ended up being
it
the
was actually dinner because we
yeah,
really didn't eat after that,
yeah,
and we didn't have to. I didn't have to, and so we got to talking, and we didn't even plan on doing this. So we went to the city cruise, did our thing at the city cruise. City cruise was bomb. We
yeah.
got that 6 to 7:30.
Yeah, 6 to 7:30. It's a live after five cruise. So usually the tickets for two people are about $90, but they had like a 20% discount. So it only ended up being about $78 for the both of us. And I mean, everybody on that boat came to party. Like it was beautiful weather. The cruise was lovely. I didn't even know. I don't want to sound if are they're not seals or they're
Yeah,
seals or
yeah.
sea lions, seals or sea lions,
Yes, yes,
seals.
yes.
There were seals on the platform. People came to party. There was black people in boats on skis,
Jet
jet
skis.
skis. They were waving, and people waving from the buildings around,
Yep.
music playing, everybody on the boat. The drinks were reasonable, and the bartenders, usually when you go to a venue and they pour like an ounce for an ounce shot. No, those bartenders, they pour, and you get a good feeling. We don't live too far the from downtown, but we still do the responsible thing. We know we're gonna drink, so we Ubered there and Ubered home to
Yep.
be responsible. But
Yep.
that hour and a half was a good
It was
time.
a good time, and just to see everybody on, like, as you going down the river, you seeing people toasting with their drinks. Like, the summer vibe is here already.
It was
People were
hot.
just it was hot. People was just feeling good. Everybody was dancing. It was just all good vibes. And yeah, it's gonna be a good season. And then we got to who's we chopping it up with? We was eating.
What do you mean?
We were eating, and then
Diamond.
Diamond. Shout out to Diamond.
Yeah.
We chopped up with Diamond back and forth texting, and she's like, "It's a good crowd out here." I'm, I'm looking pretty girl Bill at Anniversary Alley, and I'm like, and
Yeah, it
she's
was.
like, we can go on out there.
Yes. So I cut my drinking off.
She's like, nah, we can go. I'm like, let's go.
So
Y'all know what we do. The spot we like. We.
we headed on out to Laguna. As we said
Yes, we did.
in our first episode, we are naturalists, and so we are part of a naturalist community out in Wilton. And once Diamond said that it was a good crowd out there, and I cut my drinks off and came home, we partied so hard we had to shower. That's how hard we
Man,
partied
on the
on the boat.
boat.
We partied so hard we had to shower, freshen up.
Yeah.
I had some hydration, and then around 9 o'clock, we went to part three of our anniversary celebration.
Man, I'm gonna tell you what.
Yes,
I didn't know that. Shout out to Nick. I didn't know nothing about Nick. I kind of heard about him.
the new
The
DJ
new
at
DJ at Laguna, man.
he put the music together seamlessly, different genres, and even if it wasn't the genre that is traditionally like your music, it was still a good song. It
Yeah.
got to a point where he went old school, and he played some Daryl Hall and John Oakes, and I was trying to sit at the table, and I was like, babe, we just got to get
She's
up
like,
and
we got to dance
we
this
got
one.
to dance to this.
I'm
It
looking at her
was
like, you
like,
like this one?
yes, yes. It just went back to like childhood, like Daryl Hall and John Oakes
Yeah.
1-on-1. I was like, okay, come on, we
Oh,
gotta. It's our anniversary, and everybody out at Laguna was
man.
so lovely to us. Like,
Man.
it's just from Facebook. They knew it was our anniversary. People just came and checked on us, wishing us happy anniversary, and it was just a wonderful
It
night.
was great, man.
Yeah,
And the dancing, and we was. Let me tell you what getting down on that dance floor. We was getting down. We formed the circle. You know the line dance is cool, but you got the Soul Train line and you got the dance circle. And man, shout out to Kip and Melissa. They kind of jumped it off, and
yeah.
we got up in there
In a circle, and then one person would go in and just do their
and then
little
call
dance.
somebody out and
Yeah,
coming in the circle. And it was, man,
like
that's what the new thing is going to be at Laguna now, the circle.
a little circle of unity, and it
Mm-hmm.
was a good time. And we danced so hard again, we had to come home and take another shower.
It was lit. It
That
was
was
so
three
lit.
showers in one day.
Yeah, everybody danced to the end to where, okay, the dance floor was fine. Nobody wanted to leave really because it was that hype. So
Yeah. So we had a
Oscar,
good time.
Vanessa, and everybody was, man. Shout out to all y'all, man. Lou and Kat and everybody.
Yeah, we had
But
such a good time.
yeah, it was good. It was good. And then yeah, we were kind of getting ready. We were talking about getting ready for. Um, we were gonna shoot last night, but we were just wore out, y'all.
Yeah,
But at the
anniversary
latest,
alley,
yeah.
anniversary almond.
Woo.
We had to land the plane
Uh-huh, uh-huh,
last night and
uh-huh.
just reflect and just really come up with. Well, we already knew what the subject was.
Right.
We had been talking about it throughout the weekend. As I said, we pretty much have the next 7 weeks of content already laid out. I wouldn't necessarily say it's a series, but they each subject just kind of relates to another. And last week we talked about emotional intelligence, and I believe that emotional intelligence definitely is a undercurrent of everything that we're going to talk about today. Taking yourself and your partner's feelings seriously. Yeah, it definitely has a degree of emotional intelligence within it.
Yeah, and I think there's both sides to it. I think, like you said, taking your feelings seriously, meaning um, just I think there's a balance there, like especially with couples, is that you want to make sure that your feelings are safeguarded too, and that you're gonna sacrifice to make in some cases to make sure that your partner is feelings is all right. So you're gonna be humble yourself and sacrifice to make sure that you may not say certain things. You may not, no, I can't say that. Even if in a jokingly manner, you may not, if you know your partner doesn't like certain things, okay, that's serious, so I can't do that. And it's a work in progress. You're never going to really master. You can almost master, but we're going to make mistakes. So, there's that to it. So you want to make sure you safeguard your own feelings, and at the same time, make sure that you're not hurting your partner's feelings. And I think that's takes emotional intelligence, sacrifice, and just being thoughtful. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? It's not about stressing or over managing, but it's learning as you go, admitting when you make a mistake, and just keeping it moving like that, and just learn how to be critical rather than lashing out, and seeing if you can meet a medium somewhere. And then I think that's how you kind of solve that problem, because it could be a problem because especially when it comes down to abusive relationships, that's an extreme. But what happens? They don't take themselves seriously or the partner's feelings seriously. And then that's where it just goes downhill.
Yeah, yeah, you definitely want to take your partner's feelings seriously. I think one thing that I've learned in our last 2 years is, as I said before, when we met each other, we dated for off and on for 6 years, and I would just come over and we would laugh and have a good time. And so when we first lived together, um, I think I took the fact that we had such a good time that nothing, really rolled off that everything kind of rolled off your back, that I just didn't really think there was, I had to consider your feelings, you know, because I was like, oh well, he's lighthearted about everything. So if I do something, you know, he's lighthearted about everything. But then once we started getting in the weed of things, and it's like, no, Allison, yes, I'm lighthearted, but I do have feelings. And there would be times in our conversations where things would get elevated between us, and you were like, you don't ask me anything about myself. And the first couple of times, that even flew over my head. I would be like, what am I? What do I have to ask you? In my mind, I've known you for 6 years, 7 years, so by default, I think I know you. But I think what I had to do was kind of let go of my ego, because I was doing that because if I knew if I didn't like what I heard, then I wouldn't be getting my way. So it was easy just to assume, like, oh, yeah, he's lighthearted. This isn't going to bother him. I'm going to do this because I want my way, and I don't want to deal with the consequences or the adjustments I have to make within myself if it's opposite of what you want or what you're willing to receive or willing to do. So that's something that I had to learn, because there's other times in our conversations or with us dealing with each other where you have flat out said to me, Allison, I'm hurt. What you have done, I'm hurt. And at times I'm like, oh shit, you know, that's a lot to deal with. So it may seem like, oh, I'm not really phased by that you saying that, but it definitely has phased me, and it definitely has made me like, okay, I need to take my interactions with Amen, and I have to take myself seriously so that I won't hurt your feelings. And taking myself seriously is, do I have to have my way? I mean, what's the big fucking deal? Do I have to have my way? What's going to happen? Is the world going to collapse? You know? Is the rent not going to get paid if I don't have my way? What's really behind all that? You know, is what's the safety issue or the anxiety issue? So in learning that about you and hearing that, I learned about myself and taking myself seriously, you know? And I think it got us to the point where we're here still learning about each other, and it's just still learning, where we could have a great, you know, 2 year anniversary. And one of the things that we kind of joked about on the boat, which I thought was hilarious, was, you know, for me, I have this thing where when I go out, I need a big presentation and all that other stuff. And like we went on the boat, y'all. Seriously, I had on t-shirt and some shorts. It was cute, but I did t-shirt and the shorts. And Almond did t-shirts and his shorts and on a boat in public.
She was like, oh, let's dress up and all that.
And it just would
Yeah,
not work out. We
yeah,
had
yeah,
like
yeah.
seven. Okay, I'm exaggerating, but I had like all these different outfits planned, and it just wouldn't work out. And when we got on the boat, and you know, like I said, I was talking to him. I was like, "Gosh, I am glad that it just busted down to these t-shirts and shorts." And he was like, "Yeah, because if this was last year, you would have came on this bad boy with a crown on." I was like, "You're right. Yeah, I
Hey,
would. It would
hey,
have been our anniversary crown."
ain't nothing wrong with being flamboyant. But no, go back to what you're saying about, you know, how you were saying I was like, I'm hurt or whatever. You know what? And I think that comes into this. So, and you know, and before I say that, I've said things too that was very insensitive in the heat of the moment. That ain't right either. And I had to learn that you got to really, like I said, take going back to what we're talking about, taking your partner's feelings serious. And I, at the same time, like you said, so as black men, a lot of times we're looked at as non-emotional, especially if we're good, if we're positive, like to laugh, like to have a good time, we're automatically like the strong black woman thing, and you know, black man can take anything. He ain't got no feelings, you know, because we have to walk around making suffering look easy. Black women too. And so, having said that, it comes down to okay, the one that after all the stress I face in the day, when I come home, I don't want to face none of that. I want to come home to my woman. I don't want to hear none of that. So when I start to encounter some of the things out there that you may run into with my woman, that's when you go, damn. That's when you like disappointed and or hurt. But like I said, it's a learning process. I've done it. But it's about going, you know what, and having that conversation and saying, let's learn from this. My bad. I'm sorry. Let's do this better.
Yeah.
Let's work to do this better. Now, where it starts to fail is when one party or both parties go, you know what, I don't even want to do this.
Yeah.
You know, that you don't want to get to where that doesn't even become a factor, to where you don't care about taking it seriously. And it's not about um, getting relationships. Is how can you hold on to one? How can you fight for one? And you can only do so much, but can you walk away? God forbid if you have to, but can you walk away going, I did all I can do?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think if both parties are doing that, you're destined for greatness. You know what I mean? You're destined
Yeah.
for greatness. No matter what. Look at these people that have been together, married for 55 years, 40 years. You don't think they go through hell and back? You know, hell and back. That's not. So it's just part of being human beings and interacting and learning. It's a learning process, and it could be painful sometimes.
Yeah. It could be
You know.
painful. Yeah, but once you get on the other side of that pain, there's a lot of joy and a lot of good feelings and a lot of celebration. And I
Yeah.
think people recognize, I think people recognize in us that we're a strong couple and we don't do things to purposely hurt each other or purposely cut each other. I think there's a lot, out when you see on TV. I think the narrative is changing though.
Yeah.
But there was for a while out there a couple would be like, oh, you would see like the wife kind of disregarding the husband or the husband disregarding the wife, like,
Mm-hmm.
that's just him, he's just saying something or whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's like that anymore, and I'm glad that's changing because a relationship isn't trying to show other people that you can disregard the person that you're with, or you have to be like, I'm the martyr in the relationship and that person's lucky to be with me.
Yeah.
I think it's equal,
Yeah.
um it's not like, oh, I'm the hot commodity in the relationship. It should never be like that.
Yeah.
It should never
Yeah.
be like that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. So I was going to say, I was going to ask you this. What inspired you to do this segment
Mm.
this week?
What inspired me is, again, just kind of looking at different couples that I've seen throughout my life. So I spent like 5.5 years in Texas, right? And when I lived in Texas, life is very different when it comes to
Imagine.
relationships.
I can imagine.
And one of the things that struck me was I went to a church, and it was in I lived in San Antonio, and it was a lot of retired families, so retired military black couples, and the women, besides having like the mind of Christ or the body of Christ, they were what we would consider now the big phrase or the big brand name is, I want a wife who could submit or whatever. And they they were living in it, and I just didn't understand it. Like, that's not the example that I saw when I was younger growing up in my household and throughout my extended family. And so um I just it didn't I didn't understand it, and it was so foreign to me that I took it upon myself to go to relationship therapy because let me give you an example. So one of the women of the church, another person came up to the woman, and she had been with her husband for like 30 years. Beautiful black woman, handsome husband. They were in their late 50s, retired. And someone was like, "Oh yeah, let's start, prayer meeting back at your house." And the lady was like, "Oh girl, I have to ask my husband about that." And me in my mind, I'm like, "It's your house, young." you know,
Mm.
what you have to ask your husband about that for?
Mm.
And so now looking back at that, of course she has to ask her husband. Like,
Right, right.
why would I even question that?
Right.
you know, you can't just have people come over your house and set up for any situation and make a commitment once a week for 3 to 4 hours. Like, who would do
Mhm.
that? And
Mhm.
so,
Mhm.
looking at those just thinking about celebrating what would be technically our second anniversary, but a number of years of us knowing each other, those certain things kind of come to mind, witnessing up close other people's relationships and how they honor their partners or how they don't, you know? So
Yeah.
that's how I came to the conclusion of taking yourself and your partner's feelings seriously, and also not even living in the day to day in the relationship. It stretches to career goals and family
Yeah.
goals and friendship goals.
Yeah.
It's like you taking my dream seriously, and now we're here on the fourth episode. When I worked out and came home, I'm able to take a shower and put on some makeup, while you just literally got off of work at 7:45. You took a short break, and then you came and just started setting all this up because you take me seriously. I didn't even have to be like, "Hey, Amin, do you think you could do this for us tonight?" No. I have been talking about what my dream is, and you've been encouraging me for a number of years, and now it's time to execute. So,
Yeah.
that's the part of taking each other seriously. It's helping through all aspects, and even if it's helping to be a part of and executing a dream. And of course, I'm there for you in that way as well.
No, I appreciate that, and I know you are. And you know what is another thing too? That's another thing that we talked about when we started doing this. We were like, you know what? Because our goal is to learn from y'all too in the future. One of the interviews really are going to be to learn from y'all. I was asking. I like to ask people, couples in long relationships, are there stages to it?
Yeah.
People together for I don't know 20 years. Okay, what did y'all? Was it in stages? So shout out to Mike and Shannon. I mean,
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
I asked both of them separately, like, is this? And they're like, yeah, it's definitely stages. You know what I mean? And other couples have told me that you almost become like family after like 20 years. You know what I mean? And I don't mean like that. Y'all know what I mean. It becomes natural.
Yeah.
So you have to try to like invent ways to keep it interesting because that
Monotony can set in.
that can set in. You know what I mean? You don't want to get used to just you want to kind of keep it going in certain ways. There's going to be ups and downs or something. That's just the nature of life. That's just life. But it's good to learn and see how. I want to get a projection of how that is because I don't know what that really is. Like the longest relationship I've been in, it just wasn't good. It was a situation after a while. It wasn't even really a relationship. It was
Yeah.
a situation ship. Until I
Mhm.
got up out of there. But having said that, I mean, I think it's important. I'm gonna what this means to me taking your partner's feelings seriously. It means a lot. I think it's about at the end of the day, to me, it's about respect.
Mhm.
That it's a roundabout way of saying how much do you respect your partner. That's all. That's all it's about. Taking somebody's feelings seriously means just respect. That's all it is, and that shouldn't be hard.
No, it shouldn't be
If
hard.
you was brought up to, other than, we all make mistakes, but just that should be the goal at the end of the day. It's just
Yeah.
respect. That's all it is, and that means a lot to me.
And men, women, men, women, women, men, women, women, men, men. they, him, her, she, X, X, Y, whatever it is. I mean,
Aliens.
alien. You know, respect your
Yeah,
partner.
yeah,
Definitely
yeah,
respect your partner. And sometimes you have to throw out all these old school ideas of respect and these old school
yeah,
ideas of of how partnerships should be and old school ideas of this person should pay all the bills or this person should mow the lawn. Well, I'm not mowing the lawn, so yeah, no. Let's take that back. Let's take that back. But this person should do that. You have to have that platform open to communicate and be able to say this is what we want out of our relationship. This is who we are, and this is the guidepost to where we're gonna go. So you guys definitely let us know what you think about, taking your two, three different parts of it at the same time. Taking yourself seriously, taking your own feelings seriously.
yeah,
You know, sometimes when it comes to partnership, you definitely have to take your own self and your own feelings seriously. And sometimes in a selfish way and sometimes in a selfless way.
yeah, yeah,
One selfish as far as trying to be the best person you can be, selfless in being the best person you can be. You got to consider your partner's feelings and how your actions affect them,
yeah.
him, her, she, they, however,
Everybody.
everybody, you know.
Everybody.
And
Yeah,
yeah, definitely,
yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
We want you to comment and uh, join our discussion. And if
Yep.
you have anything that you would like to say to us, or we can always loop back to this conversation. Definitely leave a comment, and we would definitely come back and address it. If you want, we have a link where you can join our conversation. If you have a camera and you have the desire and you have something to say, we can drop you a link and you can join the conversation. We are not selfish in this platform. Just as long as you don't embarrass yourself or us, we're good.
That's right. Yeah.
Because we will cut. We'll be like, we'll have that little statement at the front. What is it? That the opinions expressed does not reflect.
Yeah, that's all. Just don't come in trolling. But yeah, you can come in, add to the conversation, and if you have like an interesting story you want to tell, or something interesting that you want to kind of carve out a segment with us, a few minutes or whatever that you want to add, let us know, and then we'll go from there. But
We have Desiree. She has her own networking business company that she's developing, but she has agreed to come on our podcast, and we're developing her own segment and she wants to talk about her journey from codependence to independence,
mm,
establishing her own independent lifestyle, and from that conversation, growing and learning more about herself, becoming stronger, and just knowing who she is and how it relates to herself and her daughter and her,
yeah,
the relationships that she wants to build within her network. And I believe this is something that everybody can benefit from. I think at some point or another, people have been codependent in relationships,
yeah,
whether it's families, whether it's friends. I think sometimes when there's insecurities, you need that cheerleader, but you
mm,
can't grow dependent on that cheerleader. You have
yeah,
to have a cheerleader within yourself. You have to be able to get up and say, self motivate and say, hey, it's time to do for yourself.
yep,
So I'm looking forward to having her join in. We all have a tough and busy schedule. So when we get a chance to navigate our schedules, we'll definitely have her join in. Even if it's not a Sunday or Monday broadcast, we may just do a special broadcast dedicated to her time frame so we can get in that conversation and, be able to talk about going from independence, excuse me, going from codependent to independence. And come on, she's so independent that
Yeah.
she it has developed her own networking company where she's getting out,
Yeah.
where she's talking to people. This a year ago, didn't even know she had the words to say, to even be able to cold walk up to somebody and say, this is who I am, and this is the company that I am developing, and I want you to be part of it. So, come join us for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Shout out to her. Shout out to Desiree, man. Shout out to everybody that showing love. Join us again next week. We will definitely be back with more content.
Hmm.
Pretty Girl Villain, degree out.
Don't forget to, as we said on the banner, like, comment, share, subscribe. We're going to go ahead and forward this over to YouTube. So if you want the replay, just go over to YouTube, hit that like button, share, comment there. You can always email us at prettygirlvillain or degreeot79, both at gmail.com. Feel free to hit us up on Facebook Messenger. Don't be shy. Definitely contact us. We'd like to continue the conversation. I'll come back on Wednesday so I can introduce the next topic for next week and have your questions and have your comments. Thank you very much. We enjoyed you.